At exactly 7:41 p.m., the man every enemy in Korea feared collapsed before he could swallow his first mouthful of dinner. The silver chopstick slipped from Kang Jun-hyuk's fingers. A second later, his body stiffened. His breathing caught in his throat. Then the chairman of the Black Phoenix Syndicate crashed onto the marble floor, sending his chair tumbling backward with a deafening bang that echoed through the mansion. For one frozen heartbeat, no one moved. Then panic exploded. "Chairman, call Dr. Seo. Move, give him space." Bodyguards rushed forward. Servants screamed. Crystal glasses shattered as frightened hands knocked them from the table. Han Soo-jin dropped beside her husband, tears instantly filling her eyes. "Jun-hyuk, look at me! Stay with me!" Lee Tae-sung pushed everyone back. "Nobody touches him until the doctor arrives." At the far end of the dining room, Adwoa Mensah stood perfectly still. She had worked inside the mansion for only 4 days. She barely knew anyone. Yet something about the scene disturbed her in a way she couldn't explain. It wasn't Jun-hyuk. It wasn't the panic. It was the dinner table. Her eyes slowly moved across every dish. Grilled sea bass, braised beef, steamed vegetables, rice, soup. Everything looked ordinary until she reached the chairman's sauce bowl. Unlike every other bowl on the table, his had already been stirred before dinner began. Someone had mixed it. Everyone else's remained untouched. Adwoa quietly stepped forward. "Please." Her voice was soft but steady. "Don't clear the table." The room fell silent. Soo-jin slowly looked up. "What?" "The food." Adwoa pointed toward Jun-hyuk's place. "Leave it exactly as it is." One of the senior housekeepers frowned. "The chairman needs help." "I know. But so does whoever caused this." Every eye turned toward her. Tae-sung narrowed his gaze. "What do you mean?" Adwoa didn't answer immediately. Instead, she knelt beside Jun-hyuk. His pulse was rapid, his breathing shallow. A faint bluish tint had begun forming beneath his fingernails. She had seen those signs once before. 6 years ago. Her father. Doctors called it a mysterious neurological illness. Her grandmother had disagreed. She had whispered one sentence that Adwoa never forgot. "Some poisons don't kill quickly. They teach doctors the wrong lesson first." The memory sent a chill through her body. Before anyone could question her further, footsteps thundered through the hallway. Dr. Seo Gyum-jin entered carrying his medical case. He examined Jun-hyuk with remarkable speed. Another episode. His voice remained calm. "Prepare his room." He filled a syringe. Within seconds, the injection entered Jun-hyuk's arm. The violent trembling slowly stopped. Soo-jin released a shaky breath. "Thank goodness." Dr. Seo stood. "The chairman needs complete rest." Adwoa quietly asked, "Has this happened before?" The doctor nodded. "Several times." "How many?" 7 attacks. "Over what period?" "About 7 months." Adwoa's heartbeat quickened. 1 attack each month. Until recently. "Has the time between attacks changed?" Dr. Seo looked surprised. "It has. They've become more frequent." "How did you know?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked back toward the untouched dinner. 7 months? 7 attacks. Each one closer than the last. Someone wasn't trying to frighten Kang Jun-hyuk. Someone was measuring him, testing him, weakening him. As the bodyguards carried the unconscious chairman upstairs, servants immediately began removing the dishes. Adwoa stepped forward. "Please wait." The elderly head cook sighed impatiently. "We clean after every meal." "Not this one." "Why?" "Because if I'm right..." She looked directly at the chairman's sauce bowl. "That bowl may know more than everyone in this room." A nervous laugh escaped one of the younger servants. A bowl can't speak. No, Adwoa replied quietly, but it can leave evidence. Taesung slowly raised his hand. Nobody touches the chairman's meal. The servants immediately stopped. Soo-jin looked annoyed. This is ridiculous. Dr. Seo already explained everything. The chairman has been ill for months. Adwoa met her eyes. Illness doesn't choose dinner. The words landed heavily. What did you say? I asked a simple question. She kept her voice respectful. Has Chairman Kang ever collapsed during breakfast? No. Lunch? No. Business meetings? No. Adwoa nodded slowly. So only dinner. Dr. Seo adjusted his glasses. Coincidence? Maybe. She answered. But coincidences repeated 7 times deserve attention. The room became uncomfortably quiet. Even the doctor said nothing. That silence told Adwoa something. Not guilt. Discomfort. There was a difference. Nearly an hour later, after everyone had retired upstairs, Adwoa quietly returned to the dining room. Moonlight spilled across the polished floor. The chairman's table remained untouched under Taesung's orders. She carefully lifted the sauce bowl, closed her eyes, and inhaled. Soy sauce, sesame oil, roasted garlic. Then, a faint bitterness, hidden so well that almost no ordinary person would notice. Almost. Her grandmother had spent years teaching her the scent of medicinal roots and toxic plants. Not because she wanted Adwoa to become a healer, because she wanted her granddaughter to survive. Adwoa opened her eyes. This wasn't mixed by accident. A voice behind her answered calmly, What wasn't? She turned. Taesung stood in the doorway. She held up the bowl. Someone added something after the food left the kitchen. He stepped closer. You're certain? No. She smiled faintly. I'm careful. Careful enough not to accuse anyone until I have proof. Taesung studied her for several seconds. Most people would have run from this family by now. My father taught me something before he died. What? Truth doesn't become safer, just because everyone ignores it. For the first time that night, Taesung believed her, not because she claimed to know the answer, but because she admitted she didn't. He looked toward the staircase leading to Junhyuk's private floor. If someone is truly trying to kill the chairman, they won't stop. Adwoa gently returned the bowl to the table. I know. They'll try again. And next time. She looked toward the dark hallway beyond the dining room. I'll be watching before dinner begins. Neither of them realized a pair of unseen eyes had been observing them from the upstairs balcony. The shadow remained perfectly still until they walked away. Only then did it quietly disappear into the darkness, carrying one terrifying realization. The new maid had noticed the one clue that everyone else had overlooked, and that made her the next obstacle. The following morning, the mansion looked exactly as it had the day before. Fresh flowers decorated the entrance hall. Servants polished the marble floors until they reflected the crystal chandeliers. Bodyguards rotated shifts with military precision. Everything appeared normal. That bothered Adwoa more than anything. A man as powerful as Kang Junhyuk had collapsed 7 times in 7 months, yet the household behaved as though it were part of the daily routine. Routine was dangerous. Routine made people stop asking questions. As she arranged books inside the chairman's private library, Taesung entered carrying a sealed evidence bag. The laboratory finished examining the sauce. Adwoa looked up, and it contained traces of a rare botanical alkaloid. She remained silent. It wasn't enough to kill. I didn't expect it to be. Taesung frowned. You already knew? I suspected. She gently closed the book she was holding. Slow poisons rarely announce themselves. They whisper. They weaken. They wait until everyone believes the victim is simply ill. For a long moment, Taesung said nothing. Finally, he asked, "Where did you learn all this?" Adwoa smiled faintly. "My grandmother never trusted appearances. She taught me that plants can save lives, and that the same plants can quietly take them." Before another word could be spoken, the library doors opened. Kang Jun-hyuk walked inside. His face remained pale, but his posture was as straight as ever. The room immediately fell silent. He looked first at Taesung, then at Adwoa. "I heard the laboratory confirmed your suspicion." "It confirmed the substance," she replied. "Not the person." Jun-hyuk nodded. "Exactly." He walked toward the window overlooking the gardens. "In my world, people often see what they expect to see. They stop noticing what changes." He turned toward Adwoa. "You didn't," she answered honestly. "I had no expectations, only questions." A faint smile appeared on his face, the most dangerous kind. For the first time since they met, Adwoa saw something beyond the feared Mafia chairman. She saw a man who had spent years surrounded by loyalty he could no longer trust. That loneliness unsettled her, not because he was powerful, because no one deserved to wonder whether every meal might be their last. Later that afternoon, Jun-hyuk called a private meeting. Only 4 people attended. Jun-hyuk, Taesung, Dr. Seo Gyum-jin, Adwoa. The chairman placed the laboratory report on the table. "The poison entered through my sauce." Dr. Seo nodded. "Yes, but the amount was extremely small." Jun-hyuk looked directly at him. "Could someone survive repeated doses?" The doctor hesitated, for a while, and eventually, organ failure. The room became silent. Jun-hyuk slowly folded the report. "From this moment forward, every meal I eat will be prepared under direct observation." Dr. Seo adjusted his glasses. "That may not be necessary." Adwoa immediately noticed something. He hadn't argued against the poisoning. He had argued against changing the routine. She quietly stored that thought away. Never accuse without proof. That had always been her grandmother's rule. The meeting ended. As everyone left, Adwoa noticed Dr. Seo speaking in whispers with his young assistant near the medicine room. The conversation stopped the instant she approached. The assistant quickly slipped something into his pocket. A folded envelope. Not medicine. Paper. Interesting. She continued walking as though she had seen nothing. That evening, she volunteered to help the kitchen prepare dinner. The head cook welcomed the extra pair of hands. Unlike the previous night, every ingredient remained under Taesung's supervision. No one entered the kitchen without permission. Every bottle, every spice, every serving plate. Everything was checked twice. By 7 o'clock, dinner was ready. Adwoa watched carefully as each plate was arranged. Then something unexpected happened. Dr. Seo's assistant entered carrying a small insulated container. "I brought the chairman's dietary supplement." The head cook frowned. "We already prepared everything. It's doctor's orders." Without waiting for permission, the assistant walked toward the private serving counter reserved for Jun-hyuk's meals. Adwoa quietly followed. He opened the container. Inside was a small glass bottle filled with dark liquid. He reached for the chairman's sauce bowl. "Excuse me." The assistant froze. He turned slowly. Adwoa smiled politely. "The chairman requested that every ingredient be recorded today." "Oh, I almost forgot." "Then please write this down." He held up the bottle. She extended her hand. "I'll record the name." For the first time since entering the kitchen, the assistant looked nervous. I don't have permission to let anyone touch it. Why not? It's confidential. She kept smiling. So is poisoning. The color drained from his face. Before he could answer, another voice interrupted. What is happening here? Han Soo-jin stood in the doorway. The assistant immediately bowed. Madam. Soo-jin looked from the bottle to Adwoa. What are you arguing about? The chairman's supplement. Adwoa answered. I simply wanted its name for the kitchen records. Soo-jin extended her hand. Let me see it. The assistant hesitated, then reluctantly passed her the bottle. She read the label. Her expression changed instantly. This isn't the supplement my husband usually takes. The assistant swallowed hard. The doctor changed it. When? This week. Without informing me? He remained silent. Soo-jin slowly looked toward Adwoa. For the first time, there was genuine confusion in her eyes. Not guilt. Confusion. Adwoa felt something shift inside her. She had expected deception. Instead, she found surprise. Someone had been making decisions without the chairman's wife knowing. That changed everything. Dinner began exactly at 8. For the first time in months, Joon-hyuk refused both the special supplement and the sauce. I'll eat what's on the table, he said quietly. Nothing more. Everyone watched him, especially Dr. Seo, especially his assistant, especially Soo-jin. 1 hour passed, then another. No collapse, no trembling, no pain. Madame Kang slowly lowered her chopsticks. This is the first peaceful dinner we've had in months. No one answered, because everyone understood what it meant. The attacks were never random. As the family prepared to leave the dining room, Tae-sung's phone vibrated. He answered. His expression darkened immediately. What happened? Joon-hyuk asked. The security team searched the doctor's assistant's office. And? They found financial records. Payments. Large payments. From an account that doesn't belong to the hospital. Whose account is it? Tae-sung looked down at the report. I don't know. The owner used a shell company. He paused. But there's something else. He handed a photograph to Joon-hyuk. It showed the assistant meeting a man in an underground parking garage 3 nights earlier. The man's face wasn't visible. Only one detail stood out. A Black Phoenix signet ring. The same ring worn only by the highest-ranking members of the Black Phoenix Syndicate. Adwoa stared at the photograph. The mystery had just become far more dangerous. Whoever was behind the poison wasn't merely inside the mansion. They were powerful enough to stand beside the chairman himself. If you've been trying to solve this mystery with Adwoa, this is the perfect time to tell us your theory in the comments. Who do you think owns that Black Phoenix ring? Because the answer would shatter the chairman's world and reveal that the greatest enemy had never been sitting across the dinner table. He had been standing beside him all along. Joon-hyuk stared at the photograph until the room blurred around him. The Black Phoenix ring. Only 3 people were authorized to wear it. Himself, Lee Tae-sung, Kim Ji-eun. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. Then Joon-hyuk calmly folded the photograph. Bring Ji-eun. His voice was steady. Too steady. Tae-sung immediately left. Adwoa noticed something that worried her. Joon-hyuk wasn't angry. He was disappointed. Sometimes disappointment was far more dangerous. Less than 30 minutes later, Kim Ji-eun entered the chairman's private office wearing his usual confident smile. I heard dinner went well. It did, Joon-hyuk replied. For the first time in months. I'm glad. So am I. Junhyuk placed the photograph on the desk. Ji-eun glanced at it. His expression never changed. You recognize the ring? I recognize many rings. Junhyuk leaned back. So do I. Silence settled between them. Adwoa watched carefully. Ji-eun never looked at the photograph twice. He looked at Junhyuk instead, like a chess player studying an opponent. Finally, he smiled. You're wondering whether it's mine. I'm wondering why my doctor's assistant was secretly meeting someone wearing it. Ji-eun spread his hands. Surely you don't suspect me because of a photograph. No. Adwoa spoke quietly. We suspect you because the photograph was meant to be found. Ji-eun slowly turned toward her. What do you mean? She walked to the desk. The person behind this conspiracy has never made careless mistakes. They poisoned Chairman Kang for 7 months without being caught. They erased security footage. They controlled the medicine. They controlled the routine. So why would they suddenly allow a photograph that points directly toward one of only 3 men? She gently tapped the picture. They wanted us looking here. They're buying time. For the first time, Ji-eun's smile faded. Only slightly, but Adwoa noticed. So did Junhyuk. He quietly ordered, freeze every account connected to the doctor's assistant. Search every office. Every vehicle. No exceptions. Ji-eun stood. Do you truly think you'll find anything? Junhyuk met his eyes. If I don't, you've lost nothing. But if I do... Neither man finished the sentence. 3 hours later, Tae-sung returned. His face was grim. We searched the assistant's apartment, and we found nothing. Junhyuk nodded once. Exactly. Everyone looked confused. He stood. Someone cleaned it before we arrived. Adwoa's eyes widened, which meant only one thing. The mastermind had known about the investigation before it even began. Someone inside the mansion had warned them. At that exact moment, one of the younger guards rushed inside. Chairman, we found Dr. Seo. The doctor was brought into the study under heavy guard. He looked exhausted. His shoulders slumped. The confidence that once defined him had disappeared. Junhyuk dismissed everyone except Adwoa and Tae-sung. Then he placed 2 medicine bottles on the table. One genuine, one altered. You've lied to me for 7 months. Dr. Seo lowered his head. I know. Why? I was paid. By whom? Silence. Junhyuk's voice softened unexpectedly. Look at me. The doctor obeyed. I can protect your family, but only if you tell me the truth. Dr. Seo's eyes filled with tears. They threatened my daughter. They knew where she studied. They knew where my wife worked. I didn't know how to fight them. You chose the wrong side. I know, he whispered. I'm sorry. Who gave the orders? The doctor's lips trembled. Kim. Before he could finish, a gunshot shattered the study window. Glass exploded across the room. Tae-sung immediately pulled Junhyuk behind the desk. Another bodyguard shielded Adwoa. The bullet struck Dr. Seo in the shoulder. He cried out in pain. Sniper! The mansion erupted into chaos. Bodyguards flooded the gardens, but the shooter had already disappeared. Dr. Seo struggled to breathe. Blood soaked his shirt. Junhyuk knelt beside him. Finish the name. The doctor grabbed his sleeve. It was Kim Ji-eun. The room became silent, not because of surprise, because every missing piece suddenly fit together. Ji-eun had never wanted suspicion to disappear. He wanted it to keep moving, from the wife, to the doctor, to the assistant, to Tae-sung, anyone but himself. He had been directing the investigation as carefully as he directed the poisoning. An hour later, Kim Ji-eun was arrested while attempting to leave one of the syndicate's private warehouses. This time, he wasn't smiling. He was brought before Jun-hyuk in handcuffs. Neither man spoke for several moments. Then Ji-eun laughed bitterly. "You know what your weakness was." Jun-hyuk remained silent. "You believed loyalty could be bought. I spent years pretending to be your most faithful friend, and you never questioned me." Jun-hyuk looked at him steadily. "I questioned everyone. I simply questioned you last." Ji-eun's smile disappeared. "I poisoned your meals. I bribed the doctor. I manipulated the assistant. But none of that would have worked if people hadn't already believed you were sick." He turned toward Adwoa. "You ruined everything." She calmly met his gaze. "No, you ruined yourself. The poison didn't expose you. Your arrogance did." Security officers led Ji-eun away. His footsteps echoed through the mansion until they finally disappeared. Days later, the authorities dismantled the criminal network hidden inside the Black Phoenix Syndicate. Dr. Seo surrendered himself and agreed to testify. The assistant entered witness protection. Han Soo-jin quietly apologized to Jun-hyuk. "I should have questioned more. I trusted too easily." Jun-hyuk answered gently, "So did I." Weeks passed. The mansion felt different, lighter. One autumn morning, Adwoa stood outside with a small suitcase. Her ticket to Ghana rested inside her passport. Jun-hyuk walked toward her. "So, you're leaving. My grandmother has waited long enough." He smiled. "I owe her my gratitude. And I owe you my life." She laughed softly. "You owe me nothing. I simply refuse to ignore what everyone else accepted." He looked at her for a long moment. "When you first arrived, I saw only a maid. Today, I see the bravest person I've ever met." Emotion filled her eyes. "And when I arrived, I saw a feared Mafia boss. Today, I see a man who chose truth over power." He extended his hand. "Next time you visit Korea, come as my honored guest, not as an employee." Adwoa accepted his hand with a warm smile. "I'll hold you to that." As her taxi disappeared beyond the mansion gates, Jun-hyuk remained standing beneath the morning sun. For the first time in years, he looked toward tomorrow instead of over his shoulder, because the woman everyone overlooked had reminded him of something power could never buy: trust. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves emotional Afro-Korean dramas. Your support helps Afrok Tales by Ji-eun bring more original stories to life. And before you go, tell us in the comments, if you were Adwoa, would you have stayed with Jun-hyuk or returned home to Ghana? Sometimes the greatest victories aren't won with strength. They're won by one ordinary person who refuses to stay silent when everyone else chooses to look away.